Knowing the right knot to tie in various settings is a big part of my job. But when I go home and actually need a knot to tie something, I can never remember the right knot, and I just start tying overhand knots, which is a really bad idea, especially in critical situations. So today I want to show you 2 quick release hitch knots, which is the knot I find myself needing most of the time. Let's dive in. The first of these knots is the mooring hitch, which coincidentally isn't usually used for mooring, to my understanding. But it's a good hitch anyway. So to start off, we'll put our cord around or through whatever we're tying. Here's my working end. I'm going to make a loop in that end like this. So my working end is underneath. Then we'll put that across our standing end. Then we want to form a bite in our working end and put it underneath this cord, but then over the top of the rest of the loop. So I'll cinch that down, leave some slack, and then we'll secure it against our object. So this is a pretty secure knot, but if you put a lot of force on it, it can tend to buckle, and that loop, if it's not big enough, can slide out. Quick release hitches are by nature a little bit dangerous because if you pull on the end, the whole thing will come undone and whatever you tied is going to fall. So you don't want to use this for rock climbing, but it is a very useful knot in many different situations. The second knot is called a Siberian hitch, and this is one I actually hadn't heard of before doing research for this video. And this one's pretty interesting. We start by putting it around just like before. Our working end is on this side. Hold the standing end in your hand, and then the working end lay across it as well. Then bring it around your hand. I need a little bit more slack. So lay your working end over the top of your hand, bring it around, and then loop it over both cords. Grab it underneath on the other side. And then, with your hand that's in the middle of all this, grab a bite and pull that through. So it looks like this before you tighten it down. You want to cinch these cords around it. So that's all tight before pulling it against. Mine's not quite tight enough yet. There we go. So this knot looks a little bit more complicated to tie. And it might be, but this knot is known for something, and that's that it's easy to tie with gloves on. So we're going to go back and tie both of these knots again, but I'm going to be wearing welding gloves. All right, so we'll loop that around just like before. Make that underhand loop in our working end and put it across. And then from that bite, oops, I need a little bit more slack here. No matter what knot you're tying, you'll just need to make them a little bit bigger if you're wearing gloves. All right, and then this one is tricky because you got to make that bite and then actually put it through like that. Tighten that down and cinch it against. That wasn't too bad, but it was definitely harder than without gloves. All right, now for the Siberian hitch. So starting out with the Siberian hitch, lay our standing end across our gloved hand, and then also our working end. Wrap it around once, and then across the top. And then with our very not dexterous fingers, we can grab a loop and pull it through. Cinch that cord down. And slide it against. In my opinion, that was far easier than the mooring hitch with gloves on. And that's because we don't have to be inserting cords through loops. Our hand is in that loop and we can just pull the cord through. So I'm definitely going to try to memorize this one so that I actually can use it in a real life situation. But this is a very strong knot. Again, maybe don't use it in critical situations where your life depends on it, but for home and garden use, definitely a useful knot that I'm gonna find myself using. So I encourage you guys to try this for yourself and decide which one of these knots is easier to tie with gloves on. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.